All right, let's talk about something that's probably keeping a few media executives up at night, or at least it should be. We're calling it the cloud trap. We're going to uncover the huge geopolitical risks U.S. broadcasters are taking on, maybe without even realizing it, just by moving their operations to the public cloud. And we'll see how that simple move could actually threaten their very independence. So here we are, the fifth and final part of our series looking at the risks for U.S. broadcasters in the public cloud. We've already laid out the technical landscape and the legal minefield. So in this last installment, we're going to talk about the strategic fallout and, most importantly, what can actually be done to build some real resilience. Let's just kick things off with a really big question, something every broadcaster needs to ask themselves right now. In that mad dash for efficiency, for cost savings, did you accidentally trade away control? It seems like a simple question, right? But believe me, the answer could literally shape the future of a free and independent press. And that brings us right to our first section, the efficiency trade-off. It's all about gaining that amazing scale the cloud offers, but losing something absolutely critical in the process, sovereignty. You know, that move to the cloud looked like a total no-brainer, just a smart tech decision. But as we're about to see, it came with some serious hidden costs, and the bill is starting to come due. Just look at this. It lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things, traditional broadcasting. You owned your towers, you owned your servers, you had physical security. The bottom line? High control. Now, look at the right side, cloud broadcasting. All of a sudden, you're renting everything from a third party. Your whole operation is sitting on a complex web of global dependencies. And the result? Yeah, you guessed it, a dangerous loss of control. And this quote, man, it just hits the nail right on the head. You no longer own the switch to your own station. Just let that sink in for a second. The physical on-off switch for your entire operation, it's not in your building anymore. It's out there, somewhere in this massive, tangled web of global interests that, let's be honest, don't always play nice with each other. Okay, so you've lost some control. What's the big deal? Well, this is where it gets really serious. Let's get into the government's new levers of power. These are ways they can exert control that go way beyond your broadcast license and completely sidestep any First Amendment protections you thought you had. And this is the real kicker. In this new world, the government doesn't need to get into a messy, public fight over the First Amendment to silence you. Nope. They can use much quieter, much more powerful tools. They can use export controls to cut you off from technology you need. They can slap on cybersecurity mandates that are really just a backdoor for surveillance. Or, and this is the really scary one, they can issue emergency orders that force your cloud provider to slow you down or even shut you off, all in the name of national security. And don't think this is just some crazy theory. This stuff is backed by law. First, you've got the Cloud Act. Basically, it allows U.S. law enforcement to demand your data from your cloud provider, and it doesn't matter one bit if that server is in Ohio or in Germany. So that whole idea of data sovereignty, the idea that your data is safe overseas, it's a complete myth. Any sensitive story you're working on is potentially exposed. Then there's FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. If the Cloud Act is law enforcement knocking on the door, FISA is the intelligence agencies kicking it down in secret. This law allows them to get secret court orders to monitor or just plain seize your data. And the most chilling part, they can do it without you ever knowing. A gag order prevents the cloud provider from ever telling you. This means your sources, your confidential notes, the very lifeblood of journalism, it's all at risk and you'd be completely in the dark. But it isn't just about data. It's also about people. We call this the human switch. Your cloud services are run by real human beings, sysadmins, with root-level access to everything. The government can legally compel one of those individuals to alter your systems, install surveillance software, or just suspend your services. They can turn a trusted admin into an insider threat, and you would have absolutely no idea it ever happened. I know what you might be thinking. Okay, this all sounds like something out of a spy movie. Is this for real? The answer is yes, absolutely. These risks have already become reality. Let's look at the real-world precedents. Look at these three examples. First, simple infrastructure failure. Remember that massive AWS outage in Virginia? It took major media outlets completely offline for days. That's your single point of failure right there. Second, the geopolitical kill switch. The US government actually restricted cloud services to the International Criminal Court. They proved they're willing to weaponize the cloud for political reasons. Now just imagine that aimed at a news organization. And third, supply chain chaos. The Huawei export controls force cloud providers to rip out and replace essential hardware. One political decision can totally disrupt the entire system you rely on. Okay, so the risks are clear. They're present and they're not hypothetical. So what in the world do you do about it? Well, that brings us to the most important part of this whole discussion: how to actually forge some digital defenses with a strategy that puts sovereignty first. So the path to getting resilient really rests on three main pillars. You've got architectural resilience, which is all about how you build your tech. Then there's governance and zero trust, which is about how you manage it all. And finally, policy and adaptation, which is how you navigate the complex world around you. Let's quickly break these down. First up, architecture. The golden rule here is simple. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That means using multiple cloud providers, multi-cloud diversity. So if one gets compromised, you're not dead in the water. It also means using a hybrid model. Keep your crown jewels, your archives, your master control, your source materials on-prem, on your own servers where you have total physical control. And finally, you can use edge computing to decentralize and rely less on those giant vulnerable data centers. Next, let's talk governance. You have to shift to a zero-trust model. That means you trust no one by default, not even the cloud provider's own people. And the single most crucial piece of this is bring your own key encryption, or BYOK. This means that you, the broadcaster, hold the encryption keys, not the provider. Why is that a game changer? Because if the government ever seizes your data, all they get is a bunch of scrambled, unusable gibberish. You still hold the keys. You stay in control. So when you put this all together, it really boils down to one final critical choice, a strategic decision that every single broadcaster has to make right now. It's a choice between efficiency and independence. And this image just says it all, doesn't it? On one side of the scale, you've got all the convenience and efficiency of the cloud. On the other side, your editorial independence. So you have to ask yourself the hard question. How can you truly report objectively on a government that literally holds the keys to your server room, a government that could silently pull the plug at any moment? This isn't just a tech decision anymore. It's a direct choice between operational convenience and the fundamental mission of the press. So where does that leave us? I think this final thought captures it perfectly. The future of independent media depends on owning your dependencies. It's that simple and that profound. The technical choices you make in the server room today will directly determine the freedom of your newsroom tomorrow. It is absolutely time to choose wisely.